Hello there and welcome to Citi TV. Another wonderful night. Scorecard is live on your screens. My name is Benjamin Nketia. It's been an absolute wonderful weekend of sports. In the under-20 AFCON that's been happening, Senegal, the young Teranga Cubs, have completed what I call the conquest of the continent. So, first of all, the senior side won the AFCON, and then they went on to win the Chan tournament. They won the beach AFCON, and now they've won the under-20 AFCON. So Senegal really have become the all-conquering team on the continent. They beat the Gambia to win the under-20 AFCON. We'll give you highlights of that particular one. Action also from the Ghana Premier League. And then, of course, it's been a brilliant week of Premier League football. Arsenal Football Club in action. Liverpool, after everybody's seventh heaven, decided to go back to their old ways. And so there's a lot to chew on the show today on Scorecard. Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my good friends in the studio, and then we can get to the show rolling. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. My good friends are in the studio. Coach Christopher Nimley is here. I like that shirt.
Thank you, my bro.
You must tell your tailor that me too, I'm here.
I hear. How here?
I love it.
I'll get him informed.
What's going on? How's your weekend been?
Last week I had a very difficult weekend, of course. Most people were expecting to see me here last week, but like you rightly told them, I was a bit under the weather. But hey, I didn't run away. I clearly understand.
Your lawyer was here doing reports for you.
Come on, man. Look, if there's anybody who understands the game of football, I'm one of those. I know I will not win games all the time. There will be moments where you lose and lose very badly, like what happened last week. But it is what it is. You have to move on from that. This week has been a very good week, I would say. And we are pumped and ready to do the show. Why not?
Nice one. You've been on radio all day. What's going on with you?
Oh, I was enjoying the football. We'll talk about it later, but I liked Arsenal's first half performance. One of the best first halves I've seen this season. So it was really nice to watch. My beloved AC Milan hasn't played yet, so we won't be talking about them. But I hope they'll give me something to smile about on Monday. So
lovely stuff. Let's kick it on with the under-20 AFCON, and let's get to that game between Senegal and the Gambia. Now, Senegal ended up winning this game by 2-0. Like I said, they've completed university as far as African football is concerned. So let's get the highlights of that game. We'll come back in studio and discuss. So at the end of 90 minutes, Senegal showing that they are the dominant force on the continent as far as under-20 football is concerned. My bigger takeaway is how far the Gambia have come. From the AFCON, they made waves with their senior national team. At under-20 level, they've gone all the way to a final. Clearly, these are two teams doing something right. Coach, Senegal winning the tournament 2-0. They really have dominated every sphere of football on the continent.
Okay, so in this particular tournament, by far, they were the better team, or they were the best team in the tournament. They went through without conceding a goal.
Yeah.
That tells you how solid a block they are. For me, I've always maintained that it is a solid defensive block that wins you a major tournament. And the statistics of the tournament concerning the Senegal team clearly tells everybody that they don't need to score more than a goal to win the game. Once they take the lead, the game is home and dry. And if you put that aside, look, the quality of the football that they've played. It is said that when your under-20 team is that good, the future of your senior national team is guaranteed for the next 10 years. As Ghana, we have been there before. We've experienced that before. When we won this particular tournament in 2009, we saw how the Black Stars benefited from having a solid under-20 team.
We still have some of the players in
the team. We still have some of the players in the team.
It's instructive to note that a lot of the players who won the Chan tournament for Senegal were present in this team as well.
Exactly. So what you actually need to recognize is the fact that they have people who are planning their football. There's a clear strategy that everybody at all levels is supposed to follow. You don't follow that, you are not part of the team. And they've been allowed to work without any form of interference. For me, I listened to the coach and he credited the Senegalese FA for every achievement that they've chalked from the senior level through to the under 20 level. Believe you me, if they were to play the under 17 right now,
they'll win it.
You don't bet past them. You put your money on them and they'll go and they'll win it. Because if you look at, again, their transitional play in Ketia, it was so sublime that every player within the setup knew what the player in possession would do, the sort of off-the-ball movement he is supposed to make the life of whoever in possession of the ball very, very easy. They hardly gave the ball away. The manner in which they were very composed. And one thing I admire so much about the head coach is that he's always very calm. Calm on the touchline. Occasionally, when things are not being done well, and normally if you have the coach step out like that, it means maybe the basic things are not being done well. Then you come and then quickly point it out to them and get them to reset and then go again. They had a focal point in their captain. I think he was voted the player of the tournament. The chap in the number 10 shirt. Absolutely brilliant. Every game I saw or watched him play, he was a delight to watch. The quality of his control, the manner in which, or the audacity with which he took on every opposing defender on a 1v1 was sublime to me. I hope and pray that when they get to the world stage proper, they will go and showcase themselves as true African champions.
And now you mentioned it, so Senegal have now qualified, the Gambia have qualified, they'll be joined by Nigeria.
All the semi-finalists.
And Tunisia.
All the semi-finalists.
Semi-finalists have all made.
And I think that is a solid representation from Africa. But once Senegal is there, Nigeria is there, the Gambia is there, Tunisia is there. Maybe it is the North Africans that I don't fancy in this underage tournament, because anytime they go there, they really don't do well. But when you have more of the West African countries there imposing themselves, then you want to believe that, look, Africa will go there and will make ourselves very, very proud. I don't see how the Nigerians will not strengthen their teams. I don't see how the Senegalese themselves will not strengthen their team going to that major, because there is the tournament that will have Brazil, it will have Argentina, the big guys from Europe will all be there. So the dynamics are going to be very, very different. But from what I have seen, or from what we've just witnessed in Egypt of this Senegalese team, I think with one or two additions, especially in attack, because at time I think they wasted too many goal scoring opportunities. But at the world level, every opportunity you really need to be clinical, because if you were to give chances away, then you don't utilize yours, you'll be found wanting. Look, congratulations to them. There are lessons to be learned from the people of this country. Plenty lessons to be learned. Like I said on Sports Panorama the other day, our juvenile football is in mess. There's nothing untoward, encouraging about juvenile football. For the past 2-3 seasons, we've never completed our juvenile league. We've never. The league has always been truncated and champions selected in the middle of the season. That is not good enough, because at the juvenile level, that is where you're supposed to get it right. You can't flout that. You can't do anything untoward when it comes to that. You need to be very spot on in your organization, in the way it is presented, trying to seek the development of the young player at that level. Because if you go to Senegal, I'm told that they have a very solid juvenile league that runs at all age levels. We need to mimic that.
I just
we
think
need to copy that.
Senegalese are just organized when it comes to sports. Because I'm not saying it's not even a football thing, right? If you look at their basketball right now, the Basketball African League, which is ongoing now, is being hosted in Senegal. Now they have some of the best academies in the world now in basketball.
And the NBA is looking at them.
They are taking talent from Senegal. Because naturally, the way they have been built by God, if I may put it that way, they are people of good height.
Good height, yep.
And if you want to
harnessing that to put infrastructure in place,
there you go.
A vision and policy in place to guide.
God bless the day. Our football people, our leaders will realize that now football is big time investment.
It's planning.
Deliberate
It
planning,
is not about sharing. It's not about sharing money to people. It's about putting the money in infrastructure, putting the money in the true protagonists, which are the players themselves, investing into them so that they will come out and make this country proud. But we are very fond of sharing money among the big people for no work done. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. For me, look, can you imagine we are going to the Ghana will not be at the Under-17 World Cup.
Yep.
Ghana will be at the Under-20 World Cup. Look, there were moments or there were eras in this country's footballing history where we hardly missed
a tournament.
A tournament at
We
any
did-
level.
At the youth levels especially.
Yes.
Ghana has been
We were
very
always,
consistent.
and anytime we've gone there, we've showcased the true Ghanaian character. But it's sad. But look, congratulations to the Senegalese. And like you said, they are not only African champions, they are not only beach football champions, they are not only Chan champions, but they are now under 20 African
Now it's
champions.
only left with the women for Senegal.
Yeah. It's just left to women's football.
It's
They
just
need to
left
get on
women's
track.
football.
Yes.
And then they've gone 360.
I want to just say two things about this, just speaking. Isn't it just interesting that two countries next to each other are the best under 20 teams in Africa? It just shows that
They are neighbors.
they are,
Yeah, they are neighbors.
In fact, and if we are speaking historically, the Gambia was created out of Senegal, so the
Yes.
British had access to the river.
Yes.
So they are very similar. It just shows their talent. And when you put that effort in, look at what happens. Because for years, Senegal were an almost team. They weren't making it. We saw their talent. They had talented players, but they weren't winning.
just never
Finally,
made it.
they've won the AFCON, and you can see the results. They didn't win the AFCON by chance. They started with a plan. And speaking of that plan, that is, and honestly, I believe very soon, the Black Stars is going to be full of players who don't grow up in Ghana, who are not born in Ghana, who are born abroad, dual nationals. Because if we don't plan here, where are the players going to come from? Even if you look at our national team now,
It's even happening already.
how many of our national team players
Our players who were groomed here.
groomed here and even played reasonable minutes in the Ghana Premier League? You can't think of any of our Black Stars players,
It's
key
rare
players,
these days.
who had actually had a look. Asian and Asamoah Gyan and the rest, they all played for Liberty. They had at least even one season, if not just one season. We don't even have that anymore.
Nope.
Look at someone like Salih, his youth career in Spain. Look at
Mohamed
Kudus,
Kudus.
straight to right to dream, Kamaldeen. Then we have all our dual nationals. The truth is we can't be relying on other countries to develop
At all.
develop your talent. We are getting them to play because, okay, their parents are Ghanaian, they have some Ghanaian, but that should be a complement to the Ghanaian, homegrown Ghanaian talent. You don't build a nation from the outside. It doesn't work like that. It should apply to all our institutions. And the Black Stars, I'm not saying, I don't have a problem with dual nationals. I don't want anyone to get this idea that I don't want dual nationals to play for Ghana. Far from it. I'm just saying that we can't have all our players, the majority of our players, being in other systems, playing even youth football for those countries. And it's like when they are not good enough, we pick them.
And I think that's a brilliant point, because what happens is that if you let other people train your players, now you don't have much of control over them in terms of trying to teach them the system that your country should be playing. Because guess what? One person is coming from the Danish football system, somebody coming from the Spanish football system, somebody from the American, the English. It's just all over the place.
There's nothing wrong with the mix, because you look like Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane was groomed in Senegal, but he's being complemented by Kalidou
by what he's
Koulibaly,
learned
who
outside.
grew up in France.
Yeah.
There's a Kalidou Koulibaly was eligible to play for France. He ended up playing for Senegal. It's a good mix. You can see there's talent, but it's a mix.
Yeah.
They have some who were groomed in France and some who were groomed in Senegal. I
Then
think
they come
right
back
now
and
our
complement
team
each
is
other.
leaning too much to the
Foreign side, yep.
It's not because, and it's not a bad thing in the sense that they are good players, they are talented players. But why is it that the local Ghanaian system is unable to produce players to compete?
Yeah, and another thing I have a problem, just before we even go on, is with coaching, right? Because I always feel like at a point you need to stop hiring foreign and Caucasian coaches. There needs to come a time where your
But
country
you see,
has...
it's related because we don't build up the infrastructure in the local system
That's
for the
what I'm
coaches to even learn
Exactly.
to
Look,
be able to reach their level.
It took a Senegalese coach
to win
them the AFCON, to win them
We've
beach
never
soccer,
won the AFCON without
win
with a
them,
foreign coach.
to win
There
them
has to be
the
said.
CHAN, again win them the under-20.
When Egypt were winning the AFCON,
No, but we've never won the AFCon with
Shahata.
When CKJF was
we've
taking
never won the AFCon with
a
a foreign coach.
That's what I'm saying. There just needs to come a time where we are looking for a Black Stars coach, and our first thing is we are going to hire a foreigner to come and take over.
You see,
the coaches here should be good enough to select leaders.
And
I think they are good enough.
Even Chris Hughton is a Ghanaian. I will still consider him a foreigner because Chris Hughton, what grooming did
Oh,
he
he's
have
really
in
a
his,
foreigner.
in his
let's
football
face it.
education in Ghana?
let me say this. Our coaches are good enough. But very typical of the administrators, they will not allow these coaches to work. Look, if you are close to, I had the opportunity to interact with the late Uncle Ben Kofi, the late Coach Sam Ade, the late Sir Jose Atukefiu. I had proper relationship with them, proper. And when you listen to these men speak football, their knowledge about football, do you think that if Coach Ade didn't understand football, he would be invited to the world stage to go and explain what the multi-system...
Because these people were part of the technical teams at FIFA.
Yes. They were recognized at that level. But if whoever the FA president is, if he puts a Ghanaian in charge there, he's completely prevented from doing his job. More or less, the level of interference is beyond measure. We've just heard our immediate Sika Kono, somebody who is a proper servant of this
former
country.
Black Stars captain.
Former Black Stars captain. One of our players who went foreign and put Ghana on the map. But when he was given the opportunity to coach the Black Stars,
he wasn't
the
given
people at the FA didn't believe he could do the job. So constant interference.
At a point, they said they were bringing him a technical
director to come and do what? So, we are our own problem. You are good enough to manage football in this country, but you don't see another Ghanaian good enough to coach the Black Stars.
I think there needs to
we
be
are good enough to be to vote and elect a Ghanaian as a president.
And we should be good enough to
He is capable of managing over 35 million people. You say a Ghanaian is not good enough to manage 26?
It's 26 now,
Maximum 26? No, come on, man.
We need to change our mindset. I strongly affiliate with that. Let's take our first break on the show. When we come back, we'll get into some foreign sports. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let's now get to some foreign sports. Let's get to the Premier League specifically. Liverpool had a little bit of a litmus test this weekend. Everybody wanted to see if they were real contenders for that top 4 slot after mauling Manchester United. They left doubts in the minds of everybody once again because those two performances apart were like day and night. They lost to AFC Bournemouth after AFC Bournemouth had not won a single game in all competitions for about 23 matches. I'm not sure where this happens, but check out the highlights. Mohamed Salah penalty just flew over the building, Charlie. That was a woeful penalty. I didn't expect that at all. Coach, was that a turning point in the game for Liverpool? Because I think there were about 20 to 15 minutes of football to be played. But this was such an unrecognizable performance, especially on what I had seen the previous week.
If it is about comparing it to what you've seen the previous week, I agree with you. But over the season, this is the Liverpool
especially away from home.
Especially away from home. You understand? Look, we did a game on radio, and I was like, you don't beat Man United 7-0 and not go away to Bournemouth and beat them. Especially when you are playing catch-up for Champions League football. Especially when in the current Champions League, you are 5-2 down to the best team in history when it comes to Champions League football. You are going to the Bernabeu. Clearly, you are not going to overturn that. So as we speak, I know they've exited the Champions League. So every game that Liverpool plays now should be considered a final, enabling them to make sure they make top 4. Because it is going to impact the transfer market. The quality of the players that come in.
The Bellingham they want to.
Because there is a serious competition
very serious
over the boy.
Very serious.
One of the things that you can use to entice him to come home is Champions League football. And if they're going to be playing in this manner, 6s and 7s, I'm not sure they're going to make Champions League. Now let's go to the football itself. We did the game, and one thing that was not right was the tempo at which they played. Go back to last week. Yes, we understood that. Manchester United was in town. So the desire, everything completely changed. But if you could show 60% of what you showed against Manchester United, you beat Bournemouth a minimum of 3-0. In the first round, this is the team that Liverpool defeated by 9-0. So maybe mentally, they felt that they were so good on the day, no matter what Bournemouth
they would turn up and beat them.
They would turn up and beat them. But this is a team that needed no form of motivation, isn't it? Because if I'm the coach of Bournemouth, I don't need to motivate
not to get
anybody.
humiliated again.
I'll just go and show them a repeat of the 9-0. And then I'll look at them in their face and tell them, go get beat.
Smiling and having fun.
And I'll tell them again, go get beat 9-0 and come and meet me in the office. I'll sack all of you quick. So they needed no form of motivation.
Yeah.
And when the game started, they had a clear plan. You see, maybe we've spoken about the lack of press of this Jurgen Klopp system this season.
Yeah.
Because they are not pressing in a very coordinated manner. I find it very strange anytime they push up to play the high line.
They can't play any other way. I think that's
no, but if you cannot play any other way but that, then do the job that commensurates to that. Isn't it? Yeah. If you want to play the high line, there's a way of playing the high line, but you cannot refuse to do the job that will enable you play a high line, and yesterday you want to play in the high line, you get punished. And if you look at the goal they conceded, they were more or less given a reminder twice. By the chap in the number 11 shirt. What's the name again?
Dango Ouattara.
Yeah, Dango
Ouattara.
The Ouattara.
He terrorized them all.
There was a ball that he went past them, went past Van Dijk, went past Alisson.
Until the eventual goal.
Wasn't able to connect. Then the goal. Liverpool had 3 opportunities to get rid of that ball. When the pass was made, the young man, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who in my view was very wasteful and poor yesterday, played him on. But after playing him on, both Van Dijk and Robertson had a clear opportunity to have dealt with the situation. But they allowed the young man to go past them. And look at the delivery. I don't know what Konate was thinking about, because the ball was there to be cleared.
Konate was terrible yesterday.
The ball was there to be cleared. And again, Alexander-Arnold, the tactical movement. We have vertical movement, diagonal movement, horizontal movement. Whenever the ball is coming from your opposite flank, as a fullback, you don't fully keep your eyes on the ball and not pay attention to those who are coming to connect. Because clearly the one in possession taking the ball to the byline is not going to be the one to put the ball in the back of them. And if you look at the pass, it was a hopeful pass. That is why I maintain that Konate should have cleared. He refused to. But where was the position of Alexander-Arnold? He didn't look at those coming. And that is kindergarten. That is elementary. Now, having considered the goal, one would have thought that Liverpool quickly would have reminded them, hey, we thought we beat this guy, but now they have an advantage. They are the home team. What else can we do? Can we go and then try and change the atmosphere, change the tempo? Because player for player, clearly Liverpool had the better players on the pitch. But look at the mood. Even in that second half, the tempo gets slower.
It's like they never woke up at any point in the game.
At all. And then when
even that penalty, I thought was a soft penalty.
No, I think, look, on the penalty, I
agree with the referee.
Because clearly the defender knew.
I have to say something about the penalty. The reason I have a problem with the penalty is not that it's given. Is that if you remember last week, when Arsenal played Bournemouth, this similar
scenario,
situation had happened 3 or 4 times, and the penalty was not given.
VAR has never been consistent.
And that's the problem.
We will come to the Casemiro red card. A similar thing happened with the Leicester City game, and the player was not red carded. Today, Casemiro does the same thing. He got sent off. That is the inconsistency in VAR. Something that we all hope VAR will help cure.
I think the problem
is
rather once is a human being who's making subjective decisions. I think for some of these decisions, they more
need to
subjective.
Be standardized.
Yeah, and that's it. Some referee will say, okay, it's so close, you can't move your hand. Some other referee will say he doesn't care. Why is your hand there?
No.
And that's the problem.
On the penalty, for me, I think he could have jumped with. You could clearly see once he missed the ball, he knew Jota was behind him. You could see the movement of his arm. He could have kept it this way, but he did this.
Yeah.
And then he knew what exactly would look. But Liverpool have to be very careful. I'm worried.
They had a chance to make it into the top 4.
Yes,
now Tottenham have opened up that space again.
If they had beaten Bournemouth yesterday, they would have gone to be part of the top 4, thrown the challenge to Spurs to restore themselves back into the pack. But it is looking like they'll have to win every other game. from now to the end of the
About,
season.
like, about 12, 11 games.
I think
about
12,
12,
11
12.
games.
And
I
they
think
are
they have
facing
12
Spurs.
more to go.
Yeah.
And they
Spurs
will
have
play
11.
Spurs. They will play Man City.
Yeah.
No, their fixture list is very difficult.
They have a I think a triple header coming of Manchester City,
Arsenal
Chelsea,
as
and
well.
Arsenal.
Yes, and surely you need to show up like you did against Manchester United to get anything from those
of it.
games.
Talk to me quickly about that.
I just want to even point something out about the goal. It's the same Wutara who crossed for Billing to score at Arsenal. So you can see that this is
It's a
something.
pattern.
It's a pattern. So it's even a bit careless to concede from the same combination.
And to be very honest, if you watch the game, it repeated itself about
That's what I'm
3
saying.
times.
They were
before the goal
reminded
happened.
twice before the goal
Before the
itself.
goal happened. And he literally took that back line to the cleanest every time he went down the flank.
And look,
they couldn't do anything about it.
This is something I have about. This is one of my issues with the Jurgen Klopp. It is good to have your fullbacks bomb up the pitch. But there are times as a manager, you need to recognize the threat on either side. Because it was clear that Bournemouth's biggest threat
Was on the wing.
was on the right side.
side, yep.
So, but look at the starting position of Robertson. Every now and then, Robertson's starting position was in the half of the open. And maybe the system is such that when he goes, Van Dijk is supposed to be the one covering him.
Yeah.
But Van Dijk, we know, he's not the quickest of defenders. So once the pass go past him and he's involved in any form of race, he's not winning.
Like is good to zone out, defend every time. Just quick thoughts on Bournemouth. Now that win took them from the bottom of the table to 17th. So it took them right out of the relegation place. Now I seen the table. A win
It's very tight.
A win takes them again almost another 3 or 2 places up. You've always insisted that they have the poorest squad in the league. You still stand by the fact that they will get relegated, or you think that
I
there's
still
a
believe
lifeline?
it, and that's the thing. It's not that they can't survive. The table is tight, but at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, the team with the better players will win. And I don't see Gary O'Neill is a good coach from what I've seen. I think he's a very good coach. He's doing very good work with the tools he has. Because from what you've seen the last 2 games, against any team, they're a threat. But I think at the end of the day, just some mistakes that the players will make, some chances they will miss.
Yes, yeah.
Those tiny margins that can't be overcome by coaching, which is what will cause them. Because every team is also, all the coaches in the Premier League are pretty competent to a certain extent. So unless you're an exceptional coach to get the results, it's going to be very difficult for you. And so that's the reason I don't trust Bournemouth. It's not to do with anything, because I think he's done a good job given the hand he's been given. Because if you even compare Bournemouth, how much they spent in the summer, that was Scott Parker's issue, that he felt that the squad wasn't good enough to compete per the recruitment and what he was seeing other teams were doing. Because remember, Fulham won the league by a distance.
Yeah.
And Bournemouth were second. And they kind of secured second in the last 2-3 games. So it wasn't like they were kind of
Dominant.
Then Nottingham Forest snuck into the playoffs. Then Nottingham Forest basically bought everybody. So Scott Parker is seeing Fulham, who have a better squad than him, even make better. Because look, they go and buy João Palhinha from Portugal. And they pay a lot of money. This is a player who was playing the Champions League. And you bring him into your midfield. And he's comparing with the players they are trying to buy. They were not even very active. Because remember, the owners were trying to sell. So they didn't want to spend money. So they were kind of playing, they were starting the league with one hand tied behind their back, you know. And I don't think that because of the poor start, starting with one hand tied behind your back, the manager changed and all that. And like you said, they went on a 23-match run where they didn't win.
A match,
all those things, it's not because they are not good players, they are not well coached. But right now, where the Premier League is, we're at a stage in the Premier League where teams in the relegation zone in January, when they have problems, they go and hire managers who've won the Europa League and stuff. Lopetegui, former Spain coach, Europa League winning coach with Sevilla, is coming to Wolves.
Almost became Real Madrid coach.
Almost became Real Madrid. In fact, he was Real Madrid coach. In fact, he was Real Madrid coach for a short. Remember, he messed up and then he was coach for a short time before he was sacked. Zidane came back. But look, this is a guy with real European pedigree, and he's coming to join a team to save them from relegation. Aston Villa are not doing well. Who did they go to? Is it not 4-time or 5-time Europa League winning coach Unai Emery? So it's not that Bournemouth, if this was 5-10 years ago, with what Bournemouth have done, they comfortably stay in the league. But where we are and what everyone is doing and the amount of money everyone is spending, I just don't think they can compete.
And then another reason why I agree with Susu, why I think they'll get relegated, is the fact that I don't remember the last time they won a game 1-0. apart from what they did to Liverpool.
True.
And even then, they gave away a penalty.
And they have a main man, Solanke,
He's not scoring.
who never
Solanke
puts it
and I
down
are the
back.
same.
Yeah, so at the end of the day,
You know the thing
it
about
comes down to
Solanke?
that.
Solanke was playing very well in the championship. He scored like what, 29,
I think
28.
20.
It's not like
Was brilliant for the England junior teams.
Yeah, it's not like this.
I hear he scored only 4 goals in the Premier League.
But I think the system is also means that he's doing a lot of running, occupying defenders, and the chances are not coming to him. He gets 1-2 chances a game.
And he's not that clinical.
Because he's not that clinical, it's making a difference. And so there's a lot of things that are wrong with this team. It's not for a lack of trying. It's not that they are doing badly. But when I compare them to other teams, and that's why I always say, you don't even have to be particularly good to survive in the Premier League. You just need 3 teams to be worse than you. And when I look at Leeds, who can't keep a clean sheet, I look at Southampton, who are just all over the place. The squad, there's no experience in the squad. There's no leadership. Then you look at Everton, who have been mismanaged for years. All those things, those 4 teams for me, I don't see how all 4 of them are staying in the league. There's no way for me. That's why I said, for me, at minimum, 2 of them are going down. Because when you compare to a team like West Ham, even though West Ham are not doing well, David Moyes is a experienced
seasoned coach.
And if you look at the players they've bought and the money they spent, the player quality will shine through. And it's just difficult when you're Bournemouth in that situation, like I said, because of how your season starts. And we saw the money they spent in January because they got a new owner who was willing to spend money, which is why Ouattara was bought in January. So it's just unfortunate for me. It's not that they are not a good team, but where the Premier League is...
The odds are just stacked against
because,
them.
look, and even compare the Premier League to the rest of Europe. Bournemouth and AC Milan were competing for Nicolo Zaniolo in January. That's where we've reached. AC Milan, who are in the Champions League quarterfinals, and Bournemouth were competing for the same player, but Bournemouth can't stay in the Premier League. It just shows you how competitive the Premier League is.
Yep. Let's move on to Chelsea Football Club. These days, coaches' friends are doing well. Porter Ball is thriving. They were up against Leicester City in what was the biggest game of the round in the league. It was at the King Power. Chelsea came through and they passed in flying colours. Let's check out the highlights of this one. So Chelsea Football Club doing it big out there. Porter Ball yielding results finally. The only unfortunate thing is that they were 10th when they went into the game week. They won the game and they still were 10th. Nothing really changed. Coach, you're good friends. Good win for them. Yeah. What are some of the changes you've noticed from the past couple of weeks to the few weeks they've played where they've actually won their last 2 matches?
I think you and myself have been very consistent on this matter. When you give a coach a job, you need to give him time to coach the team.
We've always said this.
We've always said that. And then Porter has not spent, I think, not even 6 months in the job. And the number of players that were bought for him, too many players, so he will need time to coach them. But whilst he will need time to coach them, he needs to also produce the results.
Yeah.
I've heard some of the Chelsea supporters compare him to Thomas Tuchel. When Thomas Tuchel came, the team was already there.
Yeah.
And he needed to walk in and to tell them that we are going to do it A, B, C, D. But they were already a unit. They knew themselves. They had a chemistry. Just that Lampard at the time was unable to get them to flourish, which is very much not the same as what Porter is going through. Now we are beginning to see the patience in the Porter build-up. When Chelsea picks up the ball, they are not forcing the issue. Enzo Fernandez, Kovacic, when they get the ball and they go and there's no room, they bring it back. Let's play. The young chap that they bought from Leicester City, Fofana, he's a ball-playing centre-back.
The fans have already started making chants and songs for him.
Yeah, I think he's a proper defender. Yeah. He's a very good player, very young. If he can stay free of injury, he's going to grow into one of the very bossy defenders in the EPL.
I think him and Badiashile in the next 5
I think they'll eventually be the centre pair of Chelsea. So now, in that game, I've always had problem with Brendan Rodgers' way of coaching. I hate the non-pragmatic coaches. That is why
coaches who don't want to change their style.
Yeah, that is why at times I admire Jurgen Klopp, but that is one of the issues I have with him.
Never changes his style.
I have seen Pep Guardiola go pragmatic before. And for me, they are the coaches who I believe show respect to the quality of their opponent. If you look at Brendan Rodgers, we all know that when you play against Leicester, they will open up to play. And that, in my view, is coaching. if you're playing against a team that shows up with Joao Felix, Modric, then there's this Kai Havertz, then there's Kovacic, who's ball carrying,
then there's Enzo.
There's Enzo Fernandez. You need to have a tactical way of matching them, trying to undo their threat. Then you wait for your moment and then you explode. But yesterday, what we saw, that the moment the whistle went,
full Leicester
attack. You don't do that. Yes, if you present the first goal that Chelsea scored to Chilwell again, 10 out of 10 more times, maybe he will score it only once. 9 out of 10, he will mess it up. So you concede the first goal less than 10 minutes into the game. You don't move away from the game plan. Or let me say, he tried to even stretch his game plan.
Even more.
That game became overly stretched in my view. Too many spaces. So if you watch the game, Chelsea had the goal disallowed. Chelsea struck the post. All at the time where Leicester was trailing by a goal down.
Yeah.
And that game could have been out of sight in the first 30 minutes. Or the first 25 minutes. And you are the home team. You should show some form of meanness. You should be a bit mean defensively. Make life a bit uncomfortable for your opponent. You don't allow them the space to run through you like knife cutting through bread like that. You don't do that. Luckily, from a sloppy giveaway from Joao Felix, the boy from, is it from Benio, the Dhaka ball?
Dhaka. From Zambia?
That was a proper goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's not left-footed, but that was a proper left-footed strike. Gave the goalkeeper
the awareness
no
to
chance.
pick the ball up, struck him outside the box.
And then you say a team is most vulnerable just after scoring.
Yeah.
So when Leicester scored, I would have thought that
They would call.
let's call it back and let's see what Chelsea would do, because all the big teams would definitely throw a response at you when they concede a goal. But rather, they went at it. Chelsea came at them. And I was telling myself, is Brendan Rodgers very serious? Is it a sort of manager who is learned over the years? Because this same approach cost him the league title at Liverpool.
He's that man. I can
approach
outscore my opponents.
Cost him big games, big game after big game. Yes, he has won some, but there were times where tactical, if he had been a bit pragmatic, he would have gotten the result. And it was clear that when Havertz scored that goal, in a game of football, 45 minutes is a very, very long time. So you went on recess, tactically changed the shape of the team. He effected some 3 substitutions. Yes, you can change the shape of the team, but when the style of play is still the same, tactically you would have done nothing defensively, because he had 2 DMs with Dewsbury Hall being given the license to join the attack. And truth be told, there was a chance presented to Dewsbury Hall which he should have used to level up.
That was a shocking miss.
That was a shocking miss. You are left-footed.
Like 5
the
yards
ball
out.
is on your left foot, a street volley. I would have slapped that in the back of the net all day. No more cargo. I would have slapped it. With ease. I would have slapped it in the back of the net all day. And for him to have...
So you're a striker.
And you don't need to be a striker to score that. Every proper technically good
Anybody
player,
who's kicked the ball before,
should be able to slap that with ease.
Yeah.
And then he just missed it. And the
It's almost as if he was shocked the ball fell
before him. You find yourself in a 6-yard box and you are shocked you are there.
Yeah.
Why were you there? Or why did you decide to go there if you are not expecting the ball to come at you? So again, once the third goal went in, but credit must be given to Graham Potter. I think there's something he's beginning to do with Gallagher. First, he was introducing Gallagher when Chelsea needed to chase games. And we sat here and we criticized. And I'm sure the people at Chelsea in England criticize. Gallagher is not the creative sort of person.
No.
He's the one who you can use to preserve a lead.
I think because of his energy.
Yes,
So
you can
I
use
think
him
maybe
to
when you're
preserve a lead.
chasing the game, you want someone who can cover more. I mean, I'm just trying to think important.
I think when you are rather chasing the game, you need somebody with energy, but technically he should be that good.
I'm trying to just put myself in Potter's shoes. That if I'm chasing a game, you have someone with energy to cover a bit more space. You can maybe leave a few more holes because he can cover those holes. I'm just trying to think. Maybe that's
what you're saying.
Maybe that's the thinking.
It is rather better off when you are leading to throw him in there, because he's not technically good, to use his energy to close down the space and preserve the lead. That he did. I think in his last 3 games in the Champions League, we saw him pull out João Felix, brought him, preserved the lead, got the second goal, the cushion goal. Yesterday again against Leicester, 2-1, took João Felix off, brought the young man, added to the midfield combo of Enzo Fernandez, Kovacic, and then Gallagher. That made them very solid in midfield, preserved the lead until they got the cushion goal. So his way of managing games is beginning to change and is beginning to get better. I hope that they will see the need to support him as and when they lose games, because they will lose so many games. They won't finish losing. Let no Chelsea fan be carried away. Yes, they won yesterday, or they've won their last 3 games. There are still difficult times ahead. But you want to congratulate him for his tactical ploy against Leicester.
So Graham Potter getting his flowers there. Your takeaways from that game?
No, I think for me, I've said the Chelsea fortunes have to turn around. You know, I like to base my analysis on the numbers. And I mentioned before, look, if you get an expected goals tally over a period of games of 15 and you score 5 or whatever the number was, that is on the players. And that is also not sustainable in the long term. So I expected the win will come eventually. So I thought it would come against Southampton. I was wrong. But it did come against Leeds. Dortmund, again, when we watched that Champions League game, Dortmund had 1 shot of note in the first leg and won 1-0. So for me, I expected Chelsea, especially because they were at home. And we know what is in the Chelsea DNA to happen at Stamford Bridge when they need a win in the Champions League. I was also expecting that win. It was a bit fortuitous in the end because of the whole penalty thing. But I expected them to qualify. So now you come and you are playing Leicester, you are away from home. So it was going to be a bit difficult. But again, the chances were there. And like Coach said, there was a bit of bad luck in that first half, in the sense that, like he said, the game could have been out of sight after 25 minutes. You know, if Felix takes his chance, if Havertz, Havertz has
like 2-3-0 before
exactly. So
happens.
for me, this is the process for me. I've expected this because based on what I've seen, there are lots of matches they lost or drew they should not have. So it's just the natural progression. The results have not been good enough. I'll be the first to admit that. But we also have to look at what is the data telling us, because the result is the most important thing, but it's not the only thing. We also have to look at how many chances are they creating compared to other teams. And I know we've argued about whether Kai Havertz should lead the line, what he offers, and whether he's costing the team by playing in front. But look, we saw that with him there, the chances are coming. We saw that sometimes he can have those finishes. The last thing I want to point out is I like what Enzo Fernandez is doing, because he's coming in and he's kind of taking over the Jorginho role. But because he's a bit more mobile, he's less of a liability on the counter-attack. I know we saw what Adeyemi did to him, but Adeyemi is going to punish 99% of footballers on the counter-attack. It doesn't tell us anything about Enzo Fernandez. He couldn't keep up. But what I like about him is some of those balls he plays. We saw it against West Ham, I believe.
He knows how to pick the final pass.
He picked a great final pass. He did it again for Kai Havertz. And that was something I felt Jorginho didn't do enough. I felt Jorginho was a bit too conservative in his passing. The fact that he can mix it up, for me, and at this age, because he's 21, 22, he can already mix it up at this age.
His vision will obviously expand while he grows.
When to play the pass. It's only going to get better. So I think we know the amount of money Chelsea have spent. But if we are thinking about it as a long-term investment, that this is someone who's going to control the midfield for the next 10, 15 years. Because if you are playing that way and you're not someone you are using your brain, you're not using your physical traits, we can have him in the midfield like Luka Modric at 35, 36,
exactly what I was
still playing for. And look, sports science is getting better, which is why we are seeing our greats playing longer. If you go back, by 32, 33, aside a few Italian players, most of the top players were done. Now we are seeing the top players
almost 40.
Look at Lewandowski. Lewandowski about 34, 35 now. He's still scoring. So we are looking at players going to have longer careers. And when you see some of these things at the age we are seeing them, look, we can criticize Chelsea all we want for how much they spent, but some of these investments
are going
to pay
off.
I'll tell you,
just to add even to that, like, it's just basic knowledge that in a sport, especially in football, as you grow older, you see the game slows down for you more. And so if you are 21 and you are supposed to be a box-to-box midfielder and you can see the final pass, which is not the forte of a lot of box-to-box midfielders, there's a good chance that by the time you are 25, you can see 360. You can literally do everything. And guess what? The good news for Chelsea fans is that I hear Coach's good friend is on the way back. Ingolo Crudo District, can't he?
You see, for him,
He's almost on
for
his
him,
way back.
he'll be welcome back.
Yeah.
But clearly, he needs to be restricted. He shouldn't and never think that he's the N'Golo Kante of old. That box-to-box thing. If he comes with that attitude, he's going to go back again. Even longer.
Yeah, I think Kante should stop being more vertical and be
more
horizontal.
So that Enzo can do the vertical.
Exactly.
I think he should think of himself as a horizontal midfielder.
As a horizontal midfielder.
Rather than vertical, because I think even someone like Thomas Partey, when he plays for the Black Stars, I think he's a bit too vertical.
That's what he wants to do, yeah.
But when he plays for Arsenal, he's a bit more horizontal.
Yeah.
Look at the level he's playing. I think sometimes when you limit your energy and use it more for one task, you are better off than kind of dispersing it for different.
Let me read a few messages before we take our next break. Sheikh Bello. I don't know if you are taking your inspiration from Coach. He says, good evening. Welcome, Coach. Where were you last week? He has said that already. This one here is from Peter Parker from Jolu. Peter Parker? Spider-Man. It says, Arsenal are on their peak and with just the best football in England now. Just hand over the trophy to them, you say. This one here is from Ben Akomadan from Afrancho. Says that, good evening. You guys are doing a great job. Thank God Coach is back. I want him to be honest and tell me between Man City and Arsenal who is going to win the league per their performance, both tactically and technically, and your wish, apart from Man United. I think that, okay, this one here is from Eugene from Ayi Mensa. He says, Coach Ni Abba, you are my role model, Chelsea fan, but you are too much. I wish to see you face to face just to shake your hand. It will be a dream come true.
Next time
really
I'm
like
doing
your
a
submissions,
roadshow.
especially when you are speaking up.
Next time I'm doing a roadshow, come.
You should come to a road, so you meet Sheikh Ni Abba Altani Mubarak. Thank you very much. Hammond from Dadieso in the Western North says this week has been really good for we the Blues. Come on, Chelsea. Kili Kwame from Adenta. Kili is a good listener of our EPL. He also appears at most road shows. Big ups to Kili. It says Potter was given 2 games to get results or get sacked, and boom, he had to beg the players. Where was his begging skills when City was using us left and right? I hope Chelsea keep on winning because the love for Potter is gone. This one here says, good evening, guys. I'm happy to see Coach today. Also, thank God for his speedy recovery. But what is going... okay, I don't think the rest of the message is important. This one here is from Sir Naifa from Cape Coast. Says that, good evening, guys. Brilliant submission from you guys. Liverpool have not seen anything yet. Coach, please, I need your number. I'm not sure why you need his number. This one here is good evening, guys. Fantastic job. I hope your panel can do much better than the Black Stars team. Bravo to you. I'm not sure what you're talking about. This one here says, good evening, Ben and your pundits. English referees and their inconveniences. How on earth is that Casemiro tackle a red card? Van Dijk and Joao Felix had similar tackles unpunished. Manaman says so from Doma Ahinkro. Okay, so big shout outs to the people in Doma Ahinkro. Faski from Juapon. People are getting to us from every corner of the country. That's brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Juapon. Where's Juapon? Somewhere around Akosombo, I believe. There's the textiles hub somewhere in there. So his Chelsea players are just playing their individual talents. Nothing special. Happy for the performance, by the way, but still Potter out. Okay. This one here coming in from Reverend Avle from Lomé, Republic of Togo. He was asking about Coach last week.
I knew.
Yes.
I knew he would do that.
Yes. Reverend Avle says that, welcome, my dear Coach Christopher. Did you eat before match day last week? How is the wife doing? Chelsea fans, how is your wife, the Chelsea fans, or how was your wife, who is the Chelsea fans' actions towards you? Please, Iketa, I want to hear something about the Black Stars call-up against Angola. Well, the unfortunate thing is that Scorecard is a score show, but I get what you mean about the Black Stars squad. The fortunate bit of it is that we have a weekend more of Scorecard before the game itself. So I'll take some time to shed some light on the squad, the ins and outs of it. So do pardon us for today. But somebody definitely very, very much a big fan of Coach over there. This one here also says, tell Coach Chris he's looking dashing. big ups to Madam. Potter Ball is showing promise. I guess the coach is still yet to gain the confidence of the traditional fan base. Big ups to Potter for the window. Arsenal keep proving Coach Nsusu's analysis right, that when they meet smaller teams, they get the job done, while City tend to struggle. Brilliant analysis from you guys as usual. Always a delight watching and listening to City from Friday night to Sunday night. Kwesi from Tema. Let's take a break here on the show. When we come back, we have more highlights. Tottenham, Man United, Arsenal, all in the mix. A lot to come. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let's move on with more highlights and let's get to that game between Tottenham Hotspur and Nottingham Forest, and then we'll also get to that game between Crystal Palace and Manchester City. So back-to-back highlights, and then we'll come back in studio and discuss. So let's start off with that game between Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. Before we even get to anything Tottenham, let's talk about Andre Ayew, because it's been a raging debate. The moment he missed that penalty, he rose to about number 5 on the Twitter, trending topics. First question, Coach. Does he stay our penalty taker? Because that's back-to-back penalty misses now. First was against Uruguay, I believe. Now it's against Tottenham Hotspur.
Look, until he missed the latest two.
Yeah.
He was always my number 1 penalty taker. But looking at the manner in which he's missed them, I think it would be better another person takes up the responsibility at the Black Stars level. Don't forget, everybody knows my stand. To me, if I'm the coach, he will not be
starting games.
So, which means that I'm going to take him off, or I'm going to get an alternative person to take up the responsibility. The problem with him is that the manner in which he's taking them off late lacks power, lacks proper spot picking.
He's always had power. These are things. What's going on?
You know what? I hope they can show the penalty again. The problem is not even the lack of power in their approach. There. But I'll let Coach finish and I'll give my own.
Technique-wise, you cannot be hitting the penalty with the lower or the back part of your inner foot.
What's that all about?
I don't know. I don't know where he learned that from. It's either you are hitting it with this part or with your laces itself. You go for power. And for him, look, I don't know, but he was so good at it.
Yeah. Like you said, barely ever missed a penalty.
He was so good at it. And let's say, look, these are signs that comes along
with decline.
Take it or leave it. That is the fact of the matter. I have said, look, he's been around for 16 years. It's not easy.
Hit the limelight around age 17, 18.
Yes.
I remember him
played,
at AFCON.
And he's played consistent first-team football for a long time.
He's been around for 16 years. His speed, his agility, his power, his everything.
Yeah.
It's
taking a dip.
So, I mean, he should look at the situation, and then maybe the next time Nottingham Forest were to get one more penalty, if he's on the pitch, he should stay away, because they are battling relegation. They are not sure of survival yet. And they will need every
single spot kick
into the back of the net.
Let me take your thoughts on the penalty.
I disagree with Coach on the penalty technique. And the reason I'm saying that, if you look at Neymar and Messi, they play penalties similarly. What you are
with
doing,
that same technique.
With that same, what you are doing is you are waiting for the keeper to move. You are kind of it's a mind game. It's a game theory.
Neymar and Messi, they don't play with this part. No, but even then, if we could go back, he's using the back part of his inner foot.
I'm even going into not even the part about his foot. For me, is not even the problem. The problem is if you play the penalty that way. We saw it against Uruguay. He slipped. So even the waiting he waited and that kind of stuff, he slipped. So it was completely messed up. This one, I think because the slip was weighing on his mind.
Oh, come on.
Relax, Coach, let me finish. It's not like he even waited for the keeper to move. But you have committed to a style that is reliant on the keeper moving, and you play without the keeper moving. It's never going to work. So what he basically did was, he basically gave it away, because when you are going like that slow, what you need is, it's a game. You are trying to make the keeper move. And knowing that when he moves, you play to the other side, or because he doesn't move, you play to the side you want and he can't get it. That's what you are trying to do. But the way he did it, He kicked it before the keeper moved, and it was so slow. It was
Let me just
easy
add
save.
to what you said. All those players who will normally do it that way, when they go and they stop, they have a look at the goalkeeper. So they don't go having a spot in mind. Like I said, they wait for the goalkeeper to move.
commit.
So once you go and he doesn't commit, you go the other way.
And that's what I mean that.
And he was not looking. And I'm saying that these are things that comes with what? Decline.
No, and what I meant by they pick a spot is that if the keeper doesn't move, what does Neymar do? He will play to the right. But by the time he plays right, and that's where coaches think about the part of the foot comes in. Because of how you play it, you don't even need to play it that hard. You just need to place it in the corner. To the point that because the keeper has not dived already, or he's standing still, even when he dives, by the time he's reached the ground, it's past him. And that's where the part of the foot comes in. Because
And
at least
those guys do hardly play it very central.
Yeah.
They look for
exactly.
And if you look at him, he's going central.
Exactly what I'm talking. And I think because he was doing it before the way I was talking about, waiting for the keeper to move. We saw it against South Africa, and it was working. The slip happened, and now it's like that's what I'm saying. It weighed on him in taking this penalty. That maybe he was
a bit of a hangover from the last one.
So, but that's the thing. When you take penalties like that, for me, I believe it's the best way
And
to
then
take
look,
penalties.
a little bit of observation on him. I think he's putting on too much weight.
Warming the bench a lot. He's not
He's
playing
putting
as
on
much.
too
football.
much weight.
He's
Because
not-
naturally you realize that as you grow in football, that is where you're supposed to check your diet and trim to enable you move. But if you look at him, if you look at his...
He's moved from outside playing regular football to warming the bench. My producer says that we can spend some time on the Black Stars squad, so we'll do a little bit of that before the show ends. But let's move on to the next batch of highlights. Let's do back-to-back highlights again. Arsenal-Fulham. Arsenal won by 3
So can
goals.
we discuss the Man City game a tiny
Just
bit?
quick
Tiny
thoughts
bit.
on that. Just
No,
quick
I
thoughts
just
on
want
that
to
before we
say,
go.
Crystal Palace going 3 games without a shot on target. I think the pressure is on Vieira a little because, like you said, when you look at the table, they are 12th. But the distance between them and Southampton is 5
They
points.
could drop to the
So
relegation
if you
zone in
keep
the next
playing,
3 games.
If you keep playing like that, you drop to the relegation zone. And on Man City, I know it took them a long time to score. But for Pep, that was a good game. Because why? Crystal Palace didn't have any shots. Crystal Palace didn't threaten. That's what Pep wants. I know it's not fun to watch, but that's his way of defending. We keep the ball and make it difficult. So they created some chances. They eventually had to get a penalty. But I think for Pep, he's happy with the performance. I know we are not happy watching it because it's not exciting, it's not fluid. But for Pep, he's happy because they are containing them. So, and that's the pragmatism coach was talking about.
Don't win game. Don't expose yourself to the point where you need more than a goal to win games.
Pep's philosophy is, even if we are not creating a lot of chances, even if we are keeping the ball, that's better than them having the ball and we're creating a lot of chances and they are also creating chances. So it's just a philosophical thing, but that's the pragmatism.
It's a win-win. So Patrick Vieira needs to watch out there. Let's go to Craven Cottage. Let's check out highlights of Fulham versus Arsenal, and then we'll do Man United versus Southampton as well, where Southampton held United to a goalless draw. So let's get into talk of that Arsenal game. I'll take one thought each on both matches and then we'll move it on. Let me take your thoughts on the Arsenal game. Just real quick, 3-0 against Fulham. You've always insisted that against these type of teams, it's easy peasy for Arsenal.
Yeah, and even something more interesting. In all the London derbies Arsenal have played this season, where they've been away from clean sheets. No,
Brentford away, clean sheet. Palace, clean sheet.
All of those places, clean sheets. Look, and that's and the funny is Arsenal plays slightly better away from home. And I think it's because the emotions, coach has mentioned this before, the emotional energy in the Emirates, it's a bit too pressure. And Arteta too is also getting worked up. The team is getting worked up. So it's affecting their performance at home. But when they are away, they are a bit more...
Small section of your fans.
Yeah, exactly. So they're able to relax, kind of push forward, kind of be consistent. And what I like about Arsenal is when they are chasing games, even when they go behind, this is not specific to this game, they don't get sucked into the kind of hoof and hope. They keep it
to the game plan.
Keep to the game plan. And that's where, even though Arteta gets emotionally hyped up, he still sticks to the game plan. He made some mistakes. Remember in the Man U game, he didn't stick to the game plan. He got a bit overambitious. I think he's learned. So now they stick to the game plan. They continue to press and that kind of stuff. This game was a very easy game. And even from the first goal that was disallowed, you could see trouble was coming. You know. And what kept on happening is when Trossard moved to the left and him and Martinelli, they were overloading the kind of fullback. And he couldn't cope. And if your centre-back too moves there to kind of help you, it becomes a problem. Yeah. And I think those overloads and that the way Trossard plays is similar to how Gabriel Jesus plays, which is why he wanted Trossard. Because if he plays Trossard on the left, he can do the job of a winger. You put him in the middle, he can do what Gabriel Jesus is doing. And he also adds set-piece delivery because we saw that corner, great corner. So Trossard had a very good game because him and Martinelli were combining very well because they kind of moved together and overload. So if you notice, Trossard was on the left more than Martinelli, but Trossard was the striker and Martinelli because he even crossed for Martinelli to be in the middle. Then he pulled the ball back and Odegaard came to score. So he was occupying the left wing. So the right back had a very tough game. And so, it was a very good performance by Arsenal. They cleaned it up in the first half. The second half was nothing to write home about. Fulham kind of were a bit more exciting, but if you are down 3-0 at home, you have to put up a fight. And Arsenal were okay. They were able to even take players off, get them some rest. Gabriel Jesus made his return. He played the last 15 minutes. So things are looking up for Arsenal. I know they have a tough Europa League game coming in midweek against Sporting Lisbon. It's not a game. I believe they should kind of play their kind of bench players, and if they go out, they go out.
They should concentrate on the Premier League.
This chance to win the Premier League, the way they are playing, it won't, because they might play again like this next season, but so would City. Because that's one thing City are good at, is raising their level. And let's be frank about how well Arsenal are playing. I believe in most of Pep's seasons, at this stage of the season, they've not had as many points as Arsenal have currently. That's how good Arsenal are right now. So we have to give them credit.
Don't blow their chance.
They shouldn't blow their chance. Honestly, they should put everything towards it.
Let me get to coach on United. This was a game I expected you guys to have fun with.
Of course, if you look at the game, the first 20 minutes, Southampton came with an approach that surprised me. I thought they would sit back and counter, but they came and they made it very open. And it was Southampton, so you expected that Man United to also claim on to that, and so it was a very exciting game. Chances in and out, but you could clearly see that the better team was United. They had more of the ball, they were creating the better chances, and they were going to score. Then unfortunately there was that red card. The moment the red card came in Old Trafford is a very big surface. Then the team with the 11th man will definitely dominate possession. So all United needed to do was to hang in there, and which I believe Ten Hag was brilliant at doing that. The substitution of introducing McTominay, Pollard, Vergots to make sure because they were playing with only Casemiro as the DM with Bruno and then Jadon Sancho in the number 10 position trying to put more pressure. So the moment you lost that main holding midfielder, then clearly you needed to sacrifice the one attacking player for him. And so the game, even still in that second half, it was very, very open. But Southampton dominated the second. Truth be told, at some point in time, I was hoping that Man United would not lose the game because they just couldn't lose another league game, having lost 7-0 to Liverpool a week ago. And the response, I believe, was spot on. But for the red card, I clearly believe that United would have won.
I agree. I just want to add, this is a big miss because Casemiro is missing 4 games.
Doesn't matter.
Because the first 3, the first one was 3, the second red card is 4. So 4 games
doesn't matter.
But luckily, he'll be fit for the Europa League soon.
Let's get to the Black Stars. 25-man squad has been named Chris Hughton's first ever squad. We have an AFCON qualifier against Angola coming. That game will be at Kumasi. So there you have the squad list there in front of you. So you have Atizigi, Manaf, Wallacott returning. Tariq Lamptey is in the mix. Dennis Odoi, Gideon Mensah. Patrick Bozo is the new name in the mix. He plays his football for Sheriff Tiraspol. Used to play for Interallies Football Club back in the day. Alexander Jiku, Mohamed Salisu, Joseph Edu. Joseph Edu's on cue to be the most consistent player in La Liga now. He's played more continuous matches now than any other player, I believe, according to the record. So that's a good one for him. In the midfield, you have Partey, Ashimeru, Salis, and Edmond Ado. And then you have Jordan Ayew, Osman Bokari, Joseph Paint, who makes a return. Kamaldeen Sulemana runs for the Abua Konigsdorfer. He's having a really good season in the Bundesliga too. And then up front, you have Mohamed Kudus, Andre Ayew, Kamal Sowa, Inaki, and Antoine Semenyo. Coach, squad has been named 25-man squad. Your impressions? Can this get us 6 points against Angola?
It should, because at the end of the day, this is what we have. I don't think there's any player out there who should have been in the team who is not there, apart from Abdul Mumin. I don't know whether he's hurt, the one who plays in Spain.
Valladolid.
And then Seydou Salifou, who was brilliant at the World Cup. For him, I know.
I mean, Alidu Seydou, he has an injury.
Yeah,
so he's had surgery, so he'll be out for 3 months.
Exactly. So apart from him,
you think this is a full strength squad?
Look, looking at this, I will be very much interested in those who start the game, because that is where
you think that's where the focus.
That is where the focus should be, and we are a team undergoing transition. It is time we move away from giving certain players an automatic starting role. For example, I'll be shocked if I see the day I start the game against Angola in Kumasi. He's not on form.
He's not playing regularly.
He should sit down for the pacey guys to be there. And like I said on Sports Panorama, I'll repeat, I hope the people who are in charge of Joseph Pensa will talk to him and get him to put the World Cup disappointment behind him so that he come and serve his country. But in case he says, I'm not ready,
they should let him.
Every Ghanaian should understand that, because the manner in which he was overlooked for the World Cup was very disturbing. There are certain things some of us cannot say here. The damage that thing caused to the young man, I cannot come and say it here. But I just hope that he's been guided by very matured people who I believe would have, because it is now a family matter. He has a family. The family were all disturbed when he was overlooked in the manner. By far our best player in Europe this season, not taken to the World Cup, for under 19 players who hardly sees the pitch of Sporting Lisbon, all of them to be at the World Cup. It was very, very disturbing. And I just hope that he will accept to come and serve his country and then show everybody the form he's been showing in the Belgian league.
Let me take 30 seconds on Susu. Just quick thoughts on the team.
I like the squad. I think there are some questions about whether some players would be in if they were not injured, which is obviously an issue. But there's a few kind of regulars who we are regularly picking who are not informed. And thinking, like we say, we're in a transition situation. I'm wondering why some of these players are still being selected. But look, I understand. Maybe because he was part of the technical team at the World Cup, he wants that continuity. For me, there's a lack of goals up front. I'm not saying there's a lack of goals. I'm saying there's lack of goals up front. When I look at our striker options, the players who are likely to play as number nines, because I look at someone like Pencil, he has goals. Koningsdorfer, he has goals. Kudus, he has goals. Then I look at the players who have to play forward as the number 9 in Semenyo and Inaki Williams. There's not a lot of goals there. I like Inaki Williams because he's industrious. He has a lot of pace and power and energy. But finishing has never been his strong suit. Look, I like to look at my XG numbers. And this is someone who I don't believe since XG became a thing, he's overperformed his XG. He's underperformed every single season, if I can remember correctly. So he's not much of a finisher. Semenyo, I don't think, has gotten a lot of chances up front, in the sense that he plays as a number 9, he plays as a number 10, he plays on the left, he plays on the right. He moves around a lot. But we use him as a striker for Ghana. But I don't know, because I don't know how much he plays as a striker, in the sense that he moves around a lot. I'm not sure about him. So for me, that lack of a number 9 is a problem. And we've still not solved this issue since Baby Jet. Really. We've been on this since Baby Jet.
We took Inaki to the World Cup, and in 3 matches, he didn't have a single shot on target.
There's only one Baby Jet. We need to find a better way of playing as a country.
You mean we need to forget about replacing him and moving on?
Look at those we've got there. If we select the right players, put the likes of Joseph Pensa, the likes of Kudus, the likes of Partey, Kamaldeen.
We might not have to need. We might not have to use a traditional number 9.
Well, we've got mobile players. We can put them.
I don't mind not having a traditional number 9. If we say we are going to play one of these informed forward players as our number 9, I'll be okay with that. But I'm talking about the fact that the number 9s we have selected,
all are not prolific.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I don't, because if we play a false 9 system, or we move things around, or we decide to go with a winger through the middle, teams do it and they are getting results. It's not really. We saw Jota, who's a winger by trade. For most of last season for Liverpool, we played through the middle. Then when Luis Diaz came, Mane was moved into the middle.
That is why I am saying that we wait to see those who start the game on the 20th.
Very important.
But the reason is I'm assuming Chris Hughton is more of a traditional type guy. So I'm assuming one of Inaki Williams or Semenyo will start. And that's why I'm bringing that up. Not that and for me, even if Inaki Williams played on the wing, I think it would even be better because of his industry and energy. I think he could do more on the wing, because if he's on the wing, you can also
double
use
back and track back.
Exactly.
So the best way to do is to give our midfielders mobile players ahead
Up
of
front.
them.
Yeah.
And
Let's
Naki
see.
William moves, Joseph
Pedro,
Benson moves,
Kamaldeen.
Kudus is moving, Kamadi is
So
moving.
I'm just wondering how we figure it out, but I'm just saying the lack of, because I know Kudus will score goals because he's very regular with goals for the Black Stars. That's one thing I've noticed about him. If Partey gets a lot of goals for the Black
we
Stars,
play him in the right
relatively,
position. Yeah.
so the goals in the team and Pencil's having a very good scoring season, so the goals in the team are not the problem. But the fact that it's likely that Inaki Williams will start and his goal scoring record is not that good is bothering me a bit.
We'll see how Chris
Not
Hughton
to pick on him because
mixes
he's a good
things
player,
up.
but
We're not picking on him. His World Cup was there for everybody to see. Let's see how Hughton mixes things up on the set day. But that's it from us here. It's been absolutely wonderful coming your way. Thank you for everybody who made time to watch the show. Send us messages. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Susu. It's been wonderful having you here. Hopefully, when the game does eventually play out, we'll have more to chew on. But same time next week, Scorecard will be back on your screen.